that day was that in the morning, Gary and I were with Spandau Ballet doing Top of the Pops. So the whole day was completely bizarre.
Que estaban sentados con Ronnie la primera media hora. Lo primero que les dijo es que estaba muy contento de que fueran ellos quienes hicieran la película porque eran los dos muy guapos. Y durante media hora... guapo. Durante la primera hora lo único de lo que hablaba era la lista de la gente a la que le gustaría matar, a los que intentó matar pero no pudo y a los que en cuanto se le iba a matar. Después de un rato de que lo consideraron demasiado, pero que también se dieron cuenta que al fondo de la sala estaba también el que llamaban el destripador de York. Y lo más raro de todo es que esa misma mañana habían estado los dos con Spandau grabando el programa de música de la tele, Pop of the Pops, y de repente se encontraban por la tarde en esta prisión rodeada de asesinos.
So, but it was a great experience, and it was the Cray Twin movie was a good springboard into the next part of my life. And you know what I was talking about earlier, those windows that open up. And the Cray Twins was that window, that second window for me that opened up, that we had to do. Came straight after the band was finishing. It was perfect time for me to lift off into the next part of my life, which was a very interesting one, I have to say, because the first thing that happened after the Cray Twin film was the Cray Twins was a successful movie in America, and so everybody invited us there. Now, we both went, Gary and I, and we were there for 3 years. Gary did some really nice A-list films, like The Bodyguard, right? And I did the terrible B-list films. Still do. Right? But I was doing the kind of B-list films. But I was enjoying myself because I was working all the time. But I was getting sent to some strange places. And one of the places I got sent to was Rio, in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil. And I got there, was sent there to make a film called Boca.
Os comenta que los Cray vio como una segunda ventana para él, una segunda oportunidad, porque tuvo tanto éxito en Estados Unidos que los dos se trasladaron durante 3 años a hacer películas en Estados Unidos. Gary consiguió las películas buenas, importantes como la de Guardaespaldas, y a él las tenía todas como el de clase B, menos importantes, dice que todavía sigue haciendo ese tipo de películas. Que uno de los momentos que recuerda es una película que tuvo que ir a rodar a Río de Janeiro.
Okay, so I was making a film called Boca, and I was there in Rio for 6 weeks, and we were filming up in the hills in Rio. You know where the favela is?
Yeah.
And there's 250,000 people. This is kind of 1991. 250,000 people in the favela. Police aren't allowed to go there. It's run by the drug lords. Right? It is the worst place I've ever been on earth. I was there for 6 weeks. 2 weeks in on my trip, I saw one dead body that was just thrown out of the favela by the bus stop. Another 2 weeks later, there was a dead body that was naked and wrapped in chicken wire, thrown out of the favela. So that's the kind of place it was. It smelt, there were young kids taking cocaine that was like 10 or 11. There was young girls walking around with guns in their pockets. And it was just hell on earth.
Para rodar la película tuvieron que subir a la zona de las favelas donde vivían 850.000 personas, donde la policía no podía entrar, y de que en las primeras semanas ya veía cómo tiraban cadáveres de las favelas, de que incluso uno estaba desnudo envuelto en alambre, y como los niños pequeños esnifaban cocaína o las niñas iban con pistolas por la calle.
So I was working there for 6 weeks. Now on one day, towards the end of the shoot, there was a day when an armourer, a man called an armourer, comes and he brings onto set all of the guns that you're going to use. So they're real guns, but they don't fire bullets anymore, they just fire blanks. And so he puts all the guns on the table, and it happens on every film, this, where there's guns. And all the men get a little bit kind of prickly, they get a little bit testosterone, right? Oh yeah, I like this gun. I like this, I'll have this gun here, the big Magnum. Yeah, I'll have that one. And it always happens. Me, I have the little small one, all right? I'll have the small gun so it can go inside my pocket, so it doesn't ruin my suit. So I choose the small one. So we had that day and we finished filming, and at about 4 o'clock in the morning, we come down out of the favela. I'll let you finish that bit first.
Que durante el rodaje llega el que está encargado de las armas para las películas, y que en cuanto las ponen de repente la testosterona empieza a subir y todos los hombres se pegan por ver quién va a coger el arma más grande para la película. Él cogió la más pequeña para que le cupiera en el bolsillo y no se formara el traje.
So we're coming down out of the favela at 4 o'clock in the morning, and there's me on one side, on the passenger seat, and there's a very small man from wardrobe who looks after all the clothes on the film. And we come out of the favela, and just where I'd seen the 2 dead bodies a couple of weeks earlier, the car comes to a stop by a set of traffic lights, and this is the edge of the favela. And as we sit there with our windows open, because it was a hot morning, these 2 guys come off the pavement and they walk towards the car. And they're kind of like scruffy, they've got their jeans down here and they're kind of torn t-shirts and greasy hair tied back into a bun. And they come towards the car. And as they come towards the car windscreen, I see these 2 guns, big silver Magnum guns, come around past the windscreen, and as it comes past, I'm looking at it, because you know everything goes in slow motion when something like that happens. I'm looking at the gun thinking, now that's a nice gun, I should have had that one. And it's coming closer, and the next thing I know, it's through the window, up against my head, the other guy had gone around the other side, his gun up against the driver's head, screaming at us in Portuguese.
Que bajaban después del rodaje de la favela, justo en el límite donde habían visto los cadáveres 2 semanas antes. El coche se paró en un semáforo con las ventanas abiertas porque hacía mucho calor. De repente miró que se acercaron 2 tipos con unas pintas muy desastrosas, con las camisas rotas y el pelo muy sucio. Y cuando se iban acercando vieron que sacaron 2 pistolas muy grandes, y de que cuando algo así pasa en esos momentos, de que todo parece que va a cámara lenta, y lo único que pudo pensar, que ojalá, me gusta esa pistola, ojalá hubiera estado actuando con esa esta mañana, cuando de repente se encuentran que se acercan y les ponen las pistolas a través de las ventanas abiertas, una en la sien a él y otra al conductor, y empiezan a gritarles en portugués.
One guy here with a gun, gun through the window, screaming in Portuguese. Gun here, man screaming in Portuguese. I didn't know what to do, right? I'm just shaking like this because I've seen the 2 dead bodies. I think I'm going to be killed, right? Absolutely, I'm going to die. And I'm starting to shake like this, and a man screaming, but I know that I have to do something. I have to stay in the car or get out the car because I'm going to get shot. So I decided I'm going to have to open the door. So my hands are shaking like this, and I bend down to the car door and I just uncatch it, and the guy's screaming at me in Portuguese with a gun here, and I can see the gun is loaded and cocked and ready to go. And I open the car door, and as I open the car door, he grabs my shoulders and he pulls me out of the car. And he lays me flat down with my face on the roof of the car.
Cuando eso pasó, pues estaba temblando, tenía mucho miedo y se acordó de los cadáveres que había visto y pensó que iba a morir. Y que tenía que hacer algo, que tenía que salir del coche, temblando. Intentó abrir la puerta del coche, todavía con la pistola en la sien y el hombre gritando en portugués. Y cuando vio que quería salir, le cogió de los hombros, le tiró para afuera y le puso con la cabeza sobre el techo del coche.
So then the man pulls me, excuse me, so he grabs my shoulders and he pulls me round, and he's got the gun up here while I'm standing there, and I'm looking at him in the eye, and he looks at me and he says, Spandau Ballet. Shaking like a leaf, shaking like it was uncontrollable, shaking. I thought I was dead. He thinks, Spandau Ballet. Spandau Ballet were huge in Brazil at that point in our life. He's looking at me in the eye, I'm shaking like this. Then he gets a piece of paper out of his pocket, puts it on the car roof, gives me a pen and says, give me your autograph. I sign the autograph like this, and they walk away. It turns out that they were two plainclothes cops that were shaking us down, coming out of the favela, who had thought that we'd bought drugs in the favela at 4 o'clock in the morning. But I never knew that. I thought, when I saw the gun here, I thought I was dead. And that was probably the most frightening thing that I've ever experienced in my life.
Cuando le tenía, le giró y se quedaron mirando fijamente a los ojos, todavía con la pistola en la sien, y de repente el hombre le dice, Spandau Ballet. Él está todavía temblando, totalmente temblando, creía que estaba muerto, y el tío se saca un papel del bolsillo, lo pone en el techo del coche, le da un bolígrafo y le dice, dame tu autógrafo. Temblando como estaba, y hizo el autógrafo como pudo, y los tíos se fueron. Pues resulta que en aquella época Spandau eran muy famosos en Brasil, y al final resultó que eran dos policías de paisano, que como bajaban de las favelas a las 4 de la mañana, creían que venían de comprar droga, por eso les habían parado. Pero en aquellos momentos ellos no lo sabían, creían que eran simplemente gánsteres que venían a matarlos. De que fue el momento más terrorífico por el que ha pasado en su vida.
So anyway, that experience came and gone, but you know, like all these bad things that happen to you, you know, in your life, but there was one thing, one person that got me through everything, and that was my wife, Shirley. Shall I tell you about Shirley now? I'll tell you about Shirley, right? So Shirley was, I don't know if you know my wife, Shirley was the girl in Wham, right? Young Guns, go for it. So I first saw Shirley at a play called Yakety Yak that was happening in London in 1982. And the week before, I had seen her on Top of the Pops doing Young Guns with Wham. And she was dancing, and she had a long white dress and white hair, and I fell in love through the television screen. And at this play called Yakety Yak, a week later, after falling in love, I saw her across the room, and I went over and I gave her my telephone number, and I said, call me. So 2 weeks later, she called me, and we arranged a date. And we were going to meet up at the Camden Palace, which was a big nightclub in Camden, in London, in the 80s. And as I walked towards, I see Shirley standing outside the club, and as I walked towards the club, something terrible happened. I realised that she had brought her friend. Now, I don't know if you've been on a date where someone brings their friend. Right? It's awful. But her friend was George Michael. So I spent all night trying to get rid of George Michael.
De que la persona que le ha ayudado en los momentos peores de su vida es un Shirley. os preguntaba si la conocéis y sabía quién era. De que la primera vez que la vio, porque ella era la corista de One, por si no lo sabíais, la primera vez que la vio fue en el programa Talk de Post, bailando con ellos. Dice que se enamoró de ella al verla en la pantalla y que una semana después coincidieron en un local de Londres, la dio el teléfono. Dice, llámame. A las 2 semanas le llama y quedan para verse en una discoteca muy famosa de Londres en la época. Y cuando la vio llegar y se acercó hacia ella, se dio cuenta que venía con su amigo. De que no sé si alguien ha tenido la experiencia de la primera cita con alguien, que la persona aparezca con un amigo. Pero es que encima lo peor es que el amigo de ella era Josh Michael. Y se pasó toda la noche tratando de librarse de él.
So 2 years later, Shirley and I decided to get married.